Hey everyone, welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name's Zoe and this is Found Finances. Today I wanted to go over with you guys some of the top tips for paying your tuition bill. At this point, it's the summer right now, and most people know where they're going to be going to school in the fall. So now really comes the question of how am I going to be able to afford this school? Now, depending on where you're ending up, whether that's a community college, a state school, or a private institution, the tuition for that is going to vary widely. But all of these tips are going to be relevant to you regardless of what type of college institution you're going to be attending in the fall and whether or not that's online or in person. Right now, there's a lot of debate about whether or not the cost of college tuition is worth it, especially in the face of COVID-19 when a lot of classes at especially private institutions are going online, and the price of tuition there is close to $250,000 at most private institutions. So a lot of families right now are weighing whether or not it's worth it to send them to these prestigious colleges, but now don't have the same resources as they would in person and not having the same experiences that they're paying for if their kid was going to be on campus physically. So that's kind of just a side note. That's not really what I'm going to be talking about in this video today, but just to let you know, that's definitely a thing in the works right now, and the cost of tuition could definitely change in the coming semesters or years in light of this fact. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into it. All right, tip number one is looking at free sources. So that's going to be scholarships and grants. Scholarships and grants can be a great way to help you pay off your tuition, and in some instances can pay for a majority of your tuition depending on what scholarships you qualify for. Now, the word scholarship and grant are often construed as synonymous, or people think that they're the same thing. But the main difference between scholarships and grants are that scholarships are most likely going to be merit-based, so whether that's on your academic abilities or your athletic abilities, and then grants are usually going to be need-based, so that's going to be based off of your family's financial situation, things like that. All right, so where to look for these scholarships and grants? I'm going to kind of just go in order of like biggest to smallest, but they're not really biggest to smallest in terms of like monetary value at all, but I'm just going to start with like government and state. So most states have scholarships available for residents, and most of the time that will be scholarships if you're going to be attending an in-state institution. So they most likely won't be relevant to people if you're a resident of the state but you're trying to go somewhere else. State scholarships usually only deal with in-state stuff. Then community organizations is a huge one. Whether or not you're someone who's religious and you have a religious organization you're a part of, sometimes scholarships are offered there. Multicultural institutions in communities also often have some type of scholarship opportunity. Employers, like your parents' employer, also, I didn't know that, but definitely do have scholarship opportunities for children of their employees. And then more in the nonprofit sector of like the NAACP, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, those institutions are kind of a mix of that private world as well as community. So those are also excellent community resources to reach out to. So just kind of brainstorm and think about what are you involved in, what is your family involved in, and if you're not involved in anything, what are you passionate about, and maybe there's a community organization around you that helps support those kinds of things. And so reaching out to those and just saying, hey, this is my situation, this is what's up, and see what they have to offer and where you can apply. All right, next is the college that you're going to be attending. Not all colleges offer merit-based scholarships or grants, but a lot of them do. So this might have been a part of your application process, applying for scholarships or grants, but if it wasn't, it's definitely not too late to go onto your college's website and look at what scholarship opportunities are available. I know throughout my 4 years, I constantly got emails telling me about different scholarships that were available across the different types of colleges or like concentrations, if that makes sense. So whether or not you were a STEM person or a Latinx person, I just got a flood of scholarship opportunities in my email that I could kind of weed through on my own to see what applied to me and what was relevant to my concentration. In order to apply for these scholarships and grants that your university might offer, it's crucial to figure out what type of financial aid forms they need from you. Usually your school's only going to require you to submit the FAFSA, which is a financial aid program run by the Department of Education and gives out all of the federal student loans that are available. That's what the FAFSA is. So if you fill that out, most likely that's all that your school's going to need you to offer in order for you to be eligible to apply to scholarships at your university, but always double check. They might have other types of forms that you need, and if you don't know, then you won't be eligible. So the best way to check what you need to give your university for these forms or applications is to call up or email the financial aid office at the university. That is your easiest bet. You will definitely get a simple answer to your question. All right, and then the last resource for looking for scholarships or grants is private organizations. And I don't want to belittle this one at all. There is billions of dollars of scholarships out there in the private sector. And this will require just a little bit more of your own motivation to weed through the thousands and thousands and thousands of scholarships and grants that are out there that private organizations offer. And there are some great websites to get you started. One place to start looking for scholarships is Scholarshipscom, which has a bunch of free scholarships and grants available for you to look at. And so it's also a pretty easy interface to navigate through. So you would just start your free search, and then you would go ahead and start creating an account, which I'll do now. And while you're creating your account, they're going to ask what school you're going to, your grade point average, some information just to see what scholarships you're eligible for. Then it's also going to ask you about your current academic major. So say that I was a biology major and I have artistic interests in dance and filmmaking and whatever you want to put. These are also going to be great search engine tools that are going to bring up relevant information. So scholarships that are related to biology or scholarships that are related to dance or filmmaking. Then say that you're a volleyball player. That's what you would put there. You can put your high school down, your SAT score, your ACT score, your race, your religion. Say that I'm agnostic, but say that you're something else. There might be some religious scholarships, any disabilities you may have, things like that. Those will all be other search engine optimization tools. So then once you put in that information, again, what I put in was just random, false. I was definitely not a biology major, and my name is not Fred. You're going to just come up with all of these just already off the bat scholarships for $1,000, $1,500, whatever. And you can click through, you could heart them, or you can click through to get more information on who's eligible for it, when the due date is. There should be an easy click through apply now button. And then just a description of what it's asking for. So for this one, this is for people who are planning to pursue a science-related degree. And it really seems like that is the only requirement for this one. Some of them, are race-based. Some of them are merit-based. There's a lot of different qualifications that can help you in this process. All right, so that's scholarships.com. All right, then there's Chegg. I didn't know this before doing research for this video, but Chegg, which we all know as a very clutch study tool, can also help you with your scholarships. So if you go up to this little hamburger thing at top, the very bottom, there's scholarships. And this is also just another search engine. So it's not Chegg scholarships in particular, but other private organizations can post their scholarships on Chegg's website and they will pop up here. So again, similar to scholarships.com, you can check, application type, what your current education level is, your age, your GPA. These are other tools that they're going to use to weed out things that aren't relevant to you and show you the things that are. So again, like $1,000 My Mosaic Recruit Connect scholarship, and same thing. You'll click on it. This has a nice interface. It tells you how many awards are given, so how many students are going to get this, how much the amount is, and what the deadline is. Then it goes on to tell you who can apply, who's eligible for it. So in this case, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be 13 years of age or older. You're a high school or college student. There's no essay or GPA requirement for this award, and it's available for any college or university and any subject or major. So those are really wide requirements there. Usually you're going to see some things that are pretty specific, but you'll definitely come across these general scholarships as well that you are definitely able to apply to. All right, so that's Chegg. You can spend hours just scrolling, honestly. Next one is the College Board, who does, I believe, the SAT, maybe the ACT as well, and helps just along in the college process in general. So they also have a scholarship search engine. So you would just go to the collegeboard.com. This is their big future section, but it's under the pay for college. So if you went to pay for college and then you went grants and scholarships, it would bring you right to the page I'm on right now. and then you'd go to scholarship search. Wow, that's hard to say. And it'd be the same kind of search engine as the others. So welcome to College Board Scholarship Search. See, like just as I was saying, find scholarships and other financial aid and internships for more than 2,200 programs and like $6 billion, guys. Like there's so much money out there. It's just really the churn of like logging in once a week and applying to all these scholarships and just like having things at your ready, at your disposal. So if you were to start, it's going to ask you for that same just like, qualifying factors that are going to help them tell you what scholarships are out there and available for you. All right, tip number 2 is federal student loans. So if you don't have money out of pocket to pay for your full tuition and you've exhausted the scholarship and grant route of free money in a sense, the next step you'll take is looking into loans, and the place you need to start is with federal loans. Do not start with private loans. Private loans I'll definitely get to as another tip in this video, but 100% exhaust the options of federal loans before you go into the private loan sector, because most likely you're going to be getting the best interest rates and the best situation out of a federal student loan versus a private student loan. Private student loans are out to profit off of you. Not that federal student loans aren't, because they definitely are, but private student loans are much more traditionally ruthless and exploitative. Again, not saying that the federal government isn't, because it super is, but just I guess on a better scale. So start with the lesser of two evils in this situation. So how you can explore what federal financial aid options are out there is definitely by going to the FAFSA website, which I'll do with you guys right now. All right, guys, so this is the front page of the FAFSA website. And so if you literally just type in to the search engine fafsa.gov, this is what it's going to bring up for you, this page. So say that you haven't done your FAFSA, which if you're applying or if you're planning to attend college in the fall, the FAFSA was due in March, I believe, for this current school year. But say that you're a junior or sophomore and you're just thinking about college, this is a great thing to know. So this is where you're going to apply for your FAFSA. So you would start it here, and if you're returning a user, you would log in here. They have different toggle paths for understanding aid, so understanding the difference between a grant, a scholarship, a work-study job, loans, if you're part of a military family or you're an international student. Then it tells you all about eligibility, which is great because yes, you can start out eligible for something, but then staying eligible is super important. And then if you've lost your eligibility, ways to regain it are also really helpful. If people have any other questions just about the FAFSA website on how to navigate it, please let me know, and I'd be happy to make a video that goes further in depth on this website. All right, and then my third tip is going to be exploring private student loan options. This is the last resort. I want to say last resort. You don't have money out of pocket. You've exhausted scholarships and grants. You've gotten the maximum federal student aid you can get from the FAFSA, which is both unsubsidized and subsidized loans, exhausted all. And I'll definitely go over if any of these words are sounding unfamiliar, like FAFSA, like unsubsidized or subsidized student loans. I'll be coming out with videos explaining those specific concepts in detail soon. The website NerdWallet has a great breakdown of the top private student loans out there that you should start looking at and comparing the differences between. It's just a great jumping off point to get you acquainted with what's really out there in terms of private student loans. The main difference I am going to say is, unlike the federal student loans that are out there, private student loans annual percentage rate, or the amount of interest that you're going to be accruing on this loan, can be insanely higher. So usually it can range between 4 and 12%, but can go higher than 12%, sometimes up to 15%. And that is crazy. Like I said earlier, federal student loans are really capped around 4 or 5%. So that's going to be the huge kicker. It might seem like a great deal that you're getting the money you want, but in the long run, you're going to be paying them way more money than you ever wanted to and that you ever would with a federal student loan. Things also to look out for when you want to compare these different private student loans is the annual percentage rate, or the APR, what the payment terms are, and what monthly payments look like. So just keep an eye out when you're starting to go through that for those key phrases and compare what different loans have to offer you. All right, then the fourth and final tip I have is kind of an odd one. It's really for people who haven't already committed to a university at this point, which I don't think is many of you. But if you're not a senior in high school and you're a sophomore or junior and you're watching this video, this is super relevant for you, and this is a great tip for figuring out how to pay for tuition. And that is to be savvy with your educational resources. So community colleges are going to cost a fraction of what a private institution is going to cost, or even a state school is going to cost. And it's a great model to explore going to community college for 2 years and transferring to a 4-year university. And then once you graduate from that four-year university, you get their name on your diploma. You don't get the community college you went to the first 2 years, you get the other university that might be more prestigious or what have you on your diploma. That's an excellent way to save money and still get your undergraduate degree, which undergraduate degrees are depleting by the day in terms of value. Master's degrees, PhDs, doctorates, those are all becoming more of the norm on what people are expecting when looking to hire people. So hypothetically, don't spend all of your money on your undergraduate education, because more often than not, a second degree will be needed to get the salary that you want or the position that you want. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, kind of thing. So that's my 2 cents on figuring out a way to save money, still get your undergraduate degree from the university that you may have wanted to, but not be bogged down in tons and tons of debt that will be eating at you for decades, literally decades. I know there's a lot of stigma around community colleges. I know there was a lot of stigma for me, and that's why I didn't do it. I was like, I'm not going to a community college. All my friends are trying to get into Harvard and Brown and all the UCs and things like that. Like, the environment, at least for me, that I was in, it didn't make that seem like an accessible route, or maybe it was accessible, but it was definitely frowned upon. These kids who went to community college, like, that's awful. That's an awful way of thinking about education that needs to be dismantled, and I want to help do that here on this platform and say that community college is an excellent route to take, especially if you have no idea what you want to do. Why would you commit to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars at a private institution when you don't know what you want to do? Like, I don't even know what to compare that to. Like, that would never happen ever. You would never spend hundreds of thousands of dollars like on a plane ticket to a place you didn't know. Like, you didn't know where you were gonna go, and you showed up and you're like, oh, I don't like it. Like, whoops, sorry. That seems dumb. So community college and state schools, ways to figure out how to be savvy and save money that way is an excellent, excellent tool to have in your belt. All right, to go over it at the very end, free sources, so scholarships and grants. Then exhausting your federal student loan options. Then once that's exhausted and you still can't pay for tuition, going the private loan route. And then my 4th tip of, before even applying to school, think about what you want to do. Think about if community college could be a great route for you to start for your first 2 years and then get to a 4-year university, especially if you're not sure what you want to do with your life, which is super normal and totally understandable as a minor or an 18-year-old while you're making all these decisions. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe or give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or anything you want to clarify, or you disagree with me on something, please comment it down in the comments below. All right, I'll see you guys soon.